Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Have you or someone you love been a victim of a crime that's still unsolved? Crime Curious has teamed up with one of the top private investigation services in the Indiana and surrounding area. If you have listened to us long enough, you know that we do not seek out services or products that are meaningless to us or hold no real value. So you can trust us when we say that Corbett Investigations comes with decades of experience you won't find anyplace else. Corbett Investigations is run by a former homicide commander of one of the country's most successful homicide units, has put over 400 people in prison for homicide, handled over 1,100 death investigations, and solved 33 cold case murders. To be real with you, Mr. Corbett had a really difficult time telling us what we should highlight in this segment because he does not like to sound like he's bragging. Solving crimes has been his life's passion, and he has never done it for the accolades or recognition. He has a whole team behind his services that help him be so successful, as they specialize in things like blood stain analysis, ballistics, crime scene reconstruction, and forensic pathology, just to name a few. When you contact Corbett Investigations, you talk directly with Tim Corbett. He is hands-on with every case and can travel anywhere that's needed to get the job done. Corbett Investigations prides itself on honesty, truth, feet to the ground, real investigation work, and the strength to stand up to whatever is in the way of solving the crime. Corbett Investigations specializes in complex homicide cases, sex offenses, and criminal investigations that are old and new. Tim and his team have a reputation for finding witnesses and information that others could not. Although we hope none of our listeners ever need private investigation services, if you do, we recommend contacting Corbett Investigations and mention this segment on Crime Curious for a free consultation. Contact Tim Corbett today at 574-229-8115. You can also check them out on Facebook at Corbett Investigative Services, Inc., or their email, tim@tcorbett.org. That's tim@tcorbett.org. Thanks for listening, and now on to the show. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan.
We are shaking our good luck gree-gree.
Lots of it.
We definitely need that this week. All right. I have for you, Megan, it's an unsolved case, so I'm sorry, no closure today.
Lovely.
I know. And this is the murder of Janice Weston. Let's just jump right in. I'm so rude. I didn't even ask how you're doing today, but I can see you look fabulous. So I assumed you're fabulous.
I actually just kind of rolled out of bed, but I got my hair cut. So, you know, after you get a haircut, it just does good things. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to do anything. I just ran a brush through it, and I started cleaning my closets out until you were ready for me, and that's all I've done today.
Oh, wow. I wish that's all I did today. But I have my hair in a messy bun. That's nice, too. That works. All right. Well, let's jump right in here. So Janice Weston, she was described by one of her employers as being one of the most brilliant corporate lawyers that I have ever known.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We are bringing you the murder of a corporate lawyer.
I mean, they can make some enemies.
They can. And we will get into all of the nitty-gritty that is found as to why there might be multiple people that we could look at here that might... Janice was a lovely person, but there are just people that may have vendettas against her, okay? She was pretty. She was young and charming. Now, at the time of her death, Janice had recently married her lover of several years and was employed at one of the top law firms in London, where she excelled in specialized computer law and seemingly had her whole life ahead of her. It was brutally cut short on the evening of September 11th, 1983.
All right.
When her lifeless body was found in a ditch next to a what was described as a lay-by on A1 highway, I think.
Like a culvert, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe.
She's on the side of the road.
London, tell us, what does a lay-by mean? She'd been beaten repeatedly around the head with a blunt instrument, later determined to be the tire iron from her own car, which was nowhere to be found. Her vehicle was later discovered abandoned in the Camden Town area with bloodstains across the window and dashboard. Investigators were perplexed about the circumstances of Janice Weston's.
Well, them finding the car like that takes out any potential that it was a carjacking.
Right, exactly.
Because they would have stolen the car, taken it, to a chop shop or something. They wouldn't have left it with a bunch of evidence in it.
For sure, with the bloodstains and everything.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're excused.
It was the devil.
Good to get him out now.
Well,
welcome, Satan.
He's in the details.
So the circumstances of Janice Weston's death and apparent lack of motive as to why anybody would want to kill her still perplexed the investigators. Her husband, Anthony Weston, had a solid alibi. He was in France at the time of her death and was ruled out as a suspect in his wife's murder. Despite several theories, there has remained many unanswered questions surrounding the case, which still remains unsolved today. Let's get into some more detail. That was just a little synopsis here. Now we're going to dive in.
All right, I'm ready. I have a snorkel.
Perfect. On the morning of September 11th, 1983, cyclist David Hurst had stopped to rest in a lay-by of the A1 on the northbound section of the road near Huntington.
Do you think maybe it's an exit? Like an exit ramp?
Yeah, possibly what we would call.
Poor David.
I know, he's just bicycling.
I know.
And he probably on a beautiful September day.
Worst fears.
It is the worst fear.
Because you're not prepared to come across a body.
It's why I refuse to run.
Me too. That's why.
Yes.
It's for that very reason.
It really is. I'll do my cardio in other ways.
It's not that I'm incredibly out of shape and my knees are a wreck. It's
right.
because I might run across a dead body.
Yeah, and I just don't want to bring that about myself.
No.
Mm-mm. So they're on the northbound section of the road near Huntington, Cambridgeshire. It was there that he noticed the body of a young woman brutally beaten to death and lifeless, dumped into a water-filled ditch. First on the scene that morning was Detective Chief Superintendent Len Bradley, and he was actually the head of Cambridgeshire's CID, so their investigative unit there. It was evident that this woman had been savagely beaten around the head with some sort of blunt instrument, which of course I've already let you know. They do know now that it was the tire iron, but a search of the nearby field which bordered the road recovered both the car jack with traces of hair and blood, which was, according to a home office pathologist, the likely murder weapon. However, it was a mystery of how the victim came to be at the spot where she was found alongside of the busy road. The body remained unidentified for a further 48 hours due to the extent of the injuries. And then when detectives learned that the victim was 36-year-old corporate lawyer Janice Weston, the young and professional woman truly had been taken down at the height of her career. So now they're looking at, all right, she's a corporate lawyer. Who would possibly want her dead? Of course, they're going to look at her husband first, but they learned more about her. They learned she was a black belt in judo.
Oh, she knew how to potentially
defend herself. Right, exactly. She was still wearing her gold watch and wedding ring, and and appeared that the robbery was, it appeared that this crime was neither a robbery or a sexual assault as the primary motive.
No. So this could be why you would identify the spouse immediately, but they ruled him out because he had an appropriate alibi.
He absolutely
and potentially no motive. I'm sure we'll hear more about this later.
Yeah, because they were just recently married after being together for years. Her husband was a property developer. His name is Anthony Weston, and he was abroad in France at the time of her murder. He was notified of her death, of course, and of the subsequent police investigation. Detectives soon began to look into the history of her life to figure out why, who, how. She had grown up in an affluent family. She actually received a convent school education and later attained her law degree from Manchester University.
Okay.
She was very pretty, charming, well-liked by all of her friends. When she graduated in her mid-20s, she quickly landed a job at the select London law firm in Oppenheimer called Nathan and Van Dyke, where she met her future husband, Anthony Weston.
Oh, okay. He wasn't an attorney, but he worked for the corporation.
Yep, he was a successful property developer, and he dealt with property in both England and Europe.
Yep, and they have in-house counsel.
Yeah.
I wish you guys could see this currently.
I know. I just let Miss Molly on my lap, and she was sniffing the microphone and
I was waiting for her to take over the podcast.
I know. She gave them all so many sweet kisses.
She did.
She was licking the microphone. So Molly says hi. Yes.
Are you left out?
Back to Janice. She also had met Hans Isner, who was born in Nuremberg, Bavaria, and had immigrated to Britain from Germany to escape the Nazis before the outbreak of World War II. He had made his fortune in merchant banking and was the chairman of the Matoy Company that features children's corgi toy cars.
Oh.
Okay. Although he was 41 years Janice's senior, the elderly Isner soon became enamored with Janice. No. And after the death of his wife, Claire, in 1975, he even made a proposal of marriage to her, which she politely declined.
Somebody just walks up to you, you haven't been dating them or have a relationship with them, and then he's like, you know what we should do? We should get married.
We should get married.
Hi, coworker. Here's your Starbucks. You want to get married?
I'm 41 years older than you, but I think, sweet young Janice, you should be my wife. So the thing is that Mr. Heinz Isner and Janice remained friends. She was actually quite fond of him. And she would accompany him to different places like the ballet. They would go to theaters.
Oh, I think they were friends and he was kind of a mentor to her.
Yes.
And he fell in love with her and
Absolutely.
was like, marry me. And she's like, oh, you're a daddy and not in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. But she didn't want to.
But I love that about her.
She was very polite with like, no, but that doesn't mean that we can't remain friends. I'm not going to marry you. And at this time, actually, she had her affections for her future husband, Anthony Weston.
Okay.
She knew him at that point in time. Now, the thing about Anthony, at the time that they met during her working at this law firm, he was married and had 2 children. So he's off limits. She she has affections for him. She's in love with him. Can't be with him because he's married with 2 children. And then there is this man 41 years older than her that is clearly enamored with her, and she really adores him, but she doesn't want to marry him. She wants to be with Anthony.
Right.
And so she's balancing trying to still be friends with Heinz it's hard to say his name. Isner. Yeah. And also be careful about her feelings with Anthony. So in 1976, she was employed by the top practice of Charles Russell and Company and was offered a partnership position.
Go girl.
Yeah.
She's pretty young.
Yes.
She's doing really well.
And she's a woman.
Partner.
Yeah.
A woman.
It's 1976.
I would say in the late 70s. Yeah.
There, she specialized in computer law just when the microchip revolution was thrusting into business. With word processors soon to be in every office and the vast network of computers in usage that would require new laws to be implemented, Janice excelled in her field and was recognized for her talent dealing with the highest levels of management and her clients. So she had the foresight, man.
Yeah, she jumped on at the beginning of kind of the technological revolution.
Yeah.
Significant progress in IP and your patents and any of that that computerized legal. God, she was at the very beginning. There weren't even books on this.
Nope.
So she's involved when they're starting to create these laws and how they're going to work.
Yes. I love the fact that she could know this is relatively unknown right now. This is going to be huge. Let me get in on this, right? Let me help be a part of writing the laws, dealing within the laws, helping these big companies that are creating the microchip and computers and whatnot navigate all this.
Love her.
Yes. A year after her appointment, 72-year-old Heinz Isner passed away.
Oh, her mentor.
Her mentor, her little, grandpa companion.
Her old man crush.
Yeah. He passed away on July 3rd, 1977, and in his will, he left Janice a legacy of approximately what would be the equivalent to $225,000 worth of paintings, money, stocks, and shares and antiques from his vast estate.
He didn't have anybody.
Oh, he had a family.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. Remember, he had a wife that passed away a few years before him.
Yeah, but he does have kids then.
No, he does. Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to like Janice at all. And they're going to say that there was something inappropriate and...
Well, his family did challenge the will.
Of
Right?
course.
They were disputing the amount, which was eventually reduced to what is equivalent to $179,000. Now, this is $179,000 in 1977 money, not today's money.
Oh, that's a lot.
So this is a lot, all right? So now Janice is financially secure, due in part from Heinz Isner, but also from her own work, which has earned her a pretty penny.
Yeah, she's making a real decent salary as a, excuse me, I don't know why that word didn't want to come out, salary as a partner.
Yes.
In a law firm.
A corporate law. Right? So, yes, she was fine. Independent woman was just fine on her own without Mr. Heinz Isner. But the fact that she got even that extra is now she's really, really secure. Her boss, Lord Nathan.
Lord Nathan?
If only my staff had to call me Lord. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't like that.
I actually insist on it.
Lord Judge Her Majesty Megan.
Her Majesty, I prefer. You know what? That's fine. We'll go back with that.
Her Majesty. Okay.
It's a classic.
I'm gonna. All rise, Her Majesty Megan now presiding.
Maybe I'm a little full of myself today.
Can we just start the podcast like that from now on?
Her Royal Highness has walked in the room.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell, and all rise for Her Majesty Megan.
You son of a bitch.
Oh, God. So anyway, Lord Nathan, her boss, later remarked that she was truly just at the beginning of what was going to be an absolutely stellar career, okay? And that she was one of the most brilliant corporate lawyers that he had ever seen.
Okay.
In 1982, just to give you guys some perspective of just how well she was doing on her own without Mr. Isner's money, right?
Yeah, she didn't need it necessarily.
So I don't think that she cared that the family raised a fuss. They had a kerfuffle, and the amount was reduced.
Maybe she even agreed to a reduction,
right?
Because
just
otherwise, I can't think of a valid legal reason to take a mentally competent person's desire for a gift to be given in that way.
Right, and to reduce it.
The only other thing I can think of is if there's laws on the books over there that limit an amount of a gift, for example.
Sure.
Of an inheritance, for example.
Yeah, because it was paintings, money, stocks, and shares.
Okay.
And antiques, too. It's also possible that she was just like, here, you want this comb? I have 3. I mean,
right.
It's possible.
This Picasso does not match my living room furniture.
You can have it. All right. In 1982, Tony Weston and his wife divorced. By the way, Anthony went by Tony.
Oh, okay.
Remember her man crush?
Yes.
I know Mr. Isner was crushing on her, but she'd be crushing on Anthony Weston. Well, he becomes available in 1982.
All right.
Okay. Because he and his wife divorced. And so he and Janice can now be together. Before you ask, I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. Doesn't matter. But these were the circumstances that unanswered question.
It makes a potential suspect.
Agreed.
Out of the ex.
Agreed. Yes. So
if she felt she was wronged.
Right. If she felt they were having an affair.
Correct.
We don't have that information.
We don't.
I also didn't go looking for that information because, quite frankly, it's still no justification to murder someone.
We say it all
right?
the time. Divorce is always an option.
Always
it happened there, and then her other option was to move on.
Right. But for all we know, also, he got divorced and then him and Janice got together.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Fair enough. No reason to speculate at this point without facts.
Right.
We're about the facts, ma'am.
I'll spread some hot gossip here. We're
Fine.
trying to carry
Ruined
on.
all my Sunday fun.
Well, but I knew that's what, because Anthony and Janice do marry, right? And I had told you that they had been lovers for years before they married. I don't know the time frame. I don't know if they had been lovers when he was married. We don't, whatever. That's just purely speculation. But as you pointed out, regardless, either way, she's probably felt like she was left for another woman. And so, yeah, I think that's hot motive material.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Hot motive material. I think that needs to become a phrase that police just use.
I want to wear it on a shirt.
I'm hot motive material.
I'm hot motive material.
Yeah, I like it.
And if I ever am found as a victim on the side of the road, they'll be like, "Oh, that was why. She's
she
hot
was right.
motive material.
Hot
Someone
motive
out there
material.
wants her here."
Yes. So now that they are married, Anthony lets her know, a good investment for your money would be in some apartments, right? Remember, he is a developer. So this would be his area of expertise. And in a mansion that had come up for sale called the Clopton Manor in Northamptonshire. All right? Which her property dealer husband suggested would be a good place for them. So what they did is they would use the apartments as like a weekend retreat when they were away from their home in London's Holland Park.
Okay.
Which is an affluent type of neighborhood,
This
right?
is a really nice way of saying they had a second home.
They did, yes. When together at Clopton Manor, they were often seen drinking at the local pubs, and the couple were well liked by everyone for their quiet and relaxed manner.
They had an escape to get out of the city, or at least away from work, to be together, be themselves, and have some drinks in pubs where no one knew them. I feel these people.
For sure. I understand.
I have to leave to have any type of fun.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? People know the local judges?
They
That's
seem
weird.
To. And believe it or not,
the people who elected you know you?
They are far more judgmental of me than I am of them.
Of course. Every time. I know. So what I'm hearing here too is that they were in a good place. They liked each other. They're going on dates together. People are seeing them be relaxed and quiet and happy with each other. And they were well liked by all the people close to them. That is good information.
I'm
for
still
the police.
hearing zero indication that he would have any motive, and we know he didn't
Yeah,
anyway. But just,
I don't think
just
so.
in case there is speculation, we've had it before, right? Where somebody was able to make it back and then back to unemployment. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's happened.
It has happened. Or it's murder for hire, right? So we've got
even better thing to point out. I don't know why that escaped me, but yes, murder for hire. He literally had no reason.
he conveniently is away.
Money,
and then
money can always be potentially a reason, but this
Sure.
guy's going to be well off himself.
This dude was well off himself, which I think made, Janice appealing because she also was well off. So it's like, you actually like me for me and not me for my money. So that's cool. Always like it when you can be pretty confident of that. I always say that I actually
You
don't.
and I are both trophy wives, so we know how that is. Right?
Obviously.
Yeah, neither one of us married for money.
Nope. We sure
Not
didn't.
at all.
It was certainly love.
It was
It is
definitely.
obviously love.
Well, not just love.
No, right. There's a couple other factors
There are other
there too.
Big reasons for both of us.
Sure. Yep, nice big reasons. Anywho, around 1983, that was good.
Take it out, man.
I really want to leave it.
Go for it.
I
That's
want to
fine.
leave it.
Welcome to my brain.
Welcome.
You're all welcome.
Truly,
I'm a real person.
truly welcome to Crime Curious. This is what we do here. We use humor to deflect.
That's right.
Around 1983, Janice had began a writing project, and she was researching for a book on computer law, which focused on the latest like safeguards for business and commerce in using the new technology. And in September 1983, that is when Anthony, her husband, traveled to France to negotiate the purchase of a chateau, actually, for a client. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, now they're getting a third place, a chateau in France. I want to be married to them. Either of them.
That's a good point.
Did they need a wife?
I actually inserted. Can we be a throuple?
Right.
I actually inserted for a client. That's an excellent point. I don't know if it was. I assumed it was for a client since he's a developer. It may have been for them.
But he was inquiring about a chateau.
He was there negotiating the purchase of what was described as the Lori Valley Chateau.
Beautiful.
So I don't know. That was, the same time. So she's researching this book, and this is what he's doing.
Are they, and maybe we don't have the answer to this from research, but are they prominently displaying their wealth? Like, are they making it apparent that they're going about accumulating potentially properties or being flashy with their
I did not get that
money?
Impression from any of the articles.
I
No.
don't from what you've explained and how you've explained them to be.
Yeah.
But it just a thought, like, did they catch the attention of somebody?
That I think would initially be a good lead for the investigators, with the exception of she wasn't robbed of anything ever. Like, why would we want her dead if we're not going to gain anything from it? Financially, I don't.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
jewelry in a car could almost be petty when you're talking about petty larceny type stuff and robbery. When you're talking about the big stuff, was there some other financial motive?
Well, here's the thing: as I said, she was doing research for a book. On September 10th, the day of her death, she was at home in Holland Park doing that research. And later that day at 4:15, we know that she arrived at the law offices at Lincoln Inn Fields where she worked, which police learned when they interviewed one of her colleagues. So she told friends that she was planning to spend the weekend in London. So,
But she didn't.
No, then she got murdered. And when you were asking me about did they seem flashy, what I kept hearing over and over again, or what was reiterated in all of these articles and whatnot, is just how well liked they were amongst their peers. So I don't get the impression that they were showboaty, or they were truly had cultivated friends that were of similar affluence.
Potentially. That makes
So
sense.
yeah, so everyone was okay with boasting, or if that was really what was happening. I don't know. This is a lot of wealth though for 1983. I mean, it's a lot of wealth for today, but certainly for 1983
specifically
as well.
For the time frame.
Yeah. So detectives are only able to speculate as to her movements between 4:15 p.m. when we know that she went to the law office, and the time her body was found 14 miles from Clompton Manor, the mansion that they had bought. And the reason for traveling, her reason for going there still remain a mystery. I mean, she was, according to her husband, she was going to be doing research for her book. She may have just decided she wanted to change the scenery. Like they were in, she was in their flat in Holland Park.
Yeah.
And then decided, okay, for the weekend, I'm just going to go to Clompton Manor, for the weekend and finish and keep doing research for my book. But I just maybe she had writer's block. She just needed a change of scenery. Writers do that all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
So 4 days after her murder, a policeman actually spotted her car and connected right away that is the vehicle that they were looking for. It was a silver Alfa Romeo Alfetta.
Alfa Romeo.
Oh, Romeo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know how I know how to pronounce that?
No, I cannot take a guess.
From the movie Dirty Dancing?
Oh, do they
Baby's
say
sister says, Alfa Romeo, that's my favorite car, to the waiter.
I do not remember that line at all.
Yep.
That's amazing to me. I'm so glad you know how to pronounce that.
And that's who I am as a person.
That is the best. Oh, now I want to watch it just to hear it.
You should. It's at the scene when they come in at the beginning at Kellerman's and are having dinner, and the waiter stops over and flirts with Lisa, and he whispers something about his car. She goes, Alfa Romeo, it's my favorite car.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, so that was her vehicle that she was driving.
Oh, yeah. She is driving a
silver.
very expensive sports car for the time.
Sure. It was abandoned on Red Hill Street in the Camden Town area of London. So inside the vehicle, forensic officers found bloodstains on the windows and dashboard, as well as her driver's license and purse, along with a bottle of wine.
Was she celebrating maybe?
Oh my God, it's London. She probably they take wine like we take soda.
Right. It was like picking up a bottle of water.
Yeah, like I'm just going to go and finish my wine while I keep researching my book. It's a Friday night. Like,
yeah. I would sit and type. When I research, I'll have a glass of wine or a beer.
Sure. This solidifies to me, I think, that this wasn't a rabbit. They didn't even take the bottle of wine. They didn't steal the expensive car.
No.
They just left it.
They abandoned it.
I think this was a very personal crime by someone who was so angry about something and wanted her dead.
Yeah. I mean, my only leads right now are that this was something about a business deal or an investment that was going wrong, or the ex-wife of her husband. Or someone in the family.
Or someone in Mr. Isner's family.
Thank you. Or someone in Mr. Isner's family, still potentially pissed off
that
about?
She got $179,000 and she doesn't need it because she's already got monies.
Well, and
maybe they don't have monies.
Were any of the items, because you said there were different art pieces and things like that. I mean, did anything come up missing from any of these art pieces?
No.
Like, I can't believe you got my dad's Renoir. I want it.
Right.
I don't know.
No.
You're going to leave me with so many questions.
I think it really was just, I effing hate you and I want you dead. Yeah. The vehicle remained untouched and situated there long enough to receive a parking ticket. By the way, police officer, when you see blood.
Oh, no.
When you see blood, honey, instead of issuing that ticket, maybe you report it.
This is bad investigatory work. And maybe it was just a ticket, a parking cop, but still.
A meter maid just on a bicycle.
You would see this. That person's name is on that ticket somewhere floating around. Some officer in England is still being made fun of for, hey, you're the guy that put the ticket on the car, that the lady was murdered in.
That the corporate lawyer was murdered in and there was blood all over the windshield and dashboard. And you put it on the windshield under the wipers.
It's not how you want to go down, man.
You know who I'm picturing is Jonah Hill from 22 Jump Street.
Oh, yeah.
Riding up, huffing and puffing on a bike. And it's just like, motherfucker, let's get this out of here. Just putting that ticket and like, you have a nice day. And just not. Well, that is not Jonah Hill's voice, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know what that was.
I loved the impression.
That was mean, actually.
It actually kind of sounded like McLovin more than him. We're going to Superbad. That
was bizarre.
Interestingly though, this wasn't like it was parked in a parking lot with other cars, right? It was more abandoned.
It was.
So someone took the time to call in an abandoned car, and the police officer went out there and ticketed it.
Well,
or came upon it and ticketed it.
I think they came upon it because it was abandoned on Red Hill Street.
Tow it.
And so someone ticketed it, and then another police officer who knew of the case and knew that they were looking for
and identified a sports car.
Exactly, and was like, wait, this is her car, and called it in and whatnot. But yeah, so I found that part so funny. I'm like, oh God, there is a parking ticket on this. Bad luck, man. Bad luck.
Detail.
Yep. Inside, they found her car keys. They also found the keys for Clopton Manor. That is where she was headed. And the manor was being redeveloped into luxury apartments at that time. It was, being undergoing construction at that time. Yep, for them to make into a property, an investment property. The spare tire was found on the car, but the tire that it replaced could not be found.
Weird.
Another witness came forward to report seeing what they described as a scruffy-looking man getting out of the car, but police were never able to identify this individual. That could be anyone.
Yeah.
A scruffy-looking man. Right. Same. I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah, and define scruffy.
For sure. Well, I think a lot of men wear beards these days. Probably a lot of people may infer that means scruffy. So, I'm going into kind of some things that were found with Janice's body.
Oh, okay.
All right. Aside from the clear blunt force trauma.
I need some autopsy results too.
they found oil residue on her fingers. Hiccup, suggesting that she had actually attempted to change the
Flat tire
on the car.
and had the tire iron out.
Yes.
That is a very hard noun to say.
It sure
that
is.
piece of equipment is.
Tire iron out.
Yes.
But police could not rule out that another person had accompanied her on that journey and then drove, her car away from the crime scene, or that she had been picked up. Had she picked up a possible hitchhiker?
No.
Who bludgeoned her to death and dumped her in the water-filled ditch?
I don't buy that. Not a brilliant corporate attorney.
I don't think so.
Picking up a hitchhiker in her Alfa Romeo? No, ma'am.
I don't.
That did not occur.
No.
That didn't happen.
No, ma'am, Megan says.
No.
Or had someone come upon her trying to change the tire and took the opportunity to murder her for seemingly no reason. Nothing was stolen.
Maybe you just needed to get to the street that the car was found on.
Perhaps.
So that's what we have. Perfectly crazy people walking around who, when you're changing your tire, grab the tire in from you, bludgeon you to death, kick you in a ditch, get in your Alfa Romeo, drive it to Red Vine Street or whatever it was on, and then get out and move on with their day.
It seems perfectly logical.
Yeah. Not really.
No.
Not
so bizarre. But it's about as logical as anything else surrounding this case.
I suppose. Well, there's the theory.
There is
and
a
if
theory.
that was the case, if this was truly some type of some homeless guy, please don't judge me for saying that. He didn't take anything.
No.
He didn't rob her of her jewelry. He didn't take anything from the car.
No, her purse is right there with money in it. Didn't take the wine.
Or the kid. No shit. Right there.
Like, what the hell? There's also a bizarre situation surrounding her license plate.
Oh.
Roughly 48 hours before her murder. Wow. I'm like not even going to edit that out. You all just need to know who I am as a podcaster.
We are having a hard time with words in general.
We are. At the end of the episode, I'll give a personal update, which will make more sense to people, I think, afterwards. But roughly 48 hours after her murder was revealed to the press, a man walked into the auto spares shop in Royston, Hertfordshire, and ordered 2 spare KMR 769X number plates, which were the same registration as Janice Weston's Alfa Romeo car.
You can just request a plate in the same number.
Happening?
I don't know how
1983 London. What is happening?
I don't know.
I didn't know that you could do that. That you can just get this. Like, hey, I need some spare license plates. Mine are getting rusty. I don't know.
We have very strict rules here.
We do, and
with license plates,
and maybe this is why
not using them on other cars and them not being the same numbers and names. And you can order a vanity plate.
Right. Yeah.
But no assumption that this said, like, attorney for hire on the back or anything.
No, right. No, it literally was KMR 769X.
I don't know. That is very, very bizarre.
Right? The unknown man has never been traced. Yeah.
Well, there's our guy. There's our suspect.
I think so too. As police stepped up their investigation.
I'm sorry, were her plates gone? Like when they found the Alfa Romeo, were her plates off of the car?
Not that I...
And why would you need...
Not that I remember from doing this research. I don't think so.
Why would you need duplicate plates? How long after the event was...
Listen, these plates were ordered 48 hours before her murder was revealed to the press. Because then her murder's revealed, and then this auto shop owner came forward and was, because they were still looking for her car.
Yeah.
So they gave the license plate numbers when they were still looking for her car when they revealed all this to the public. And so the auto shop's guy was like, hey, 2 days ago? So I don't know if that is like literally the same day that she was murdered. Not sure.
This is bizarre.
So as I said, he's not been found. The police stepped up their investigation and they learned that on the Saturday morning before her ill-fated journey, she had collected a repaired tire, which actually had been in her husband's name and telephone number scrawled on the side in yellow water-resistant chalk. Okay, so she went to go pick up their tire that had been repaired.
Okay.
All right, and of course, so that they knew which tire matched with what client, they put her husband's name and telephone number on it. The tire was replaced into the boot. So that means the trunk, we've learned in other cases.
The boot.
The boot is the trunk.
I only call mine the boot now.
Oh,
I told
perfect.
you after the last episode that came up on, I was going to refer to it as the boot.
Right. I'm going to start doing that and just see how long it takes my children to catch on what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm also going to refer to people's asses in that manner as well.
Excellent.
Junk
I
in
like
the trunk.
this. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You got a nice boot.
Junk in the trunk. Oh, gosh. Sometimes people have a toot in the boot.
Oh, God. You are a 12-year-old boy.
I know. I'm sorry.
Hot humor coming for you. Live.
Oh, you went the sexy route. I went the gross route.
That makes sense, actually.
It does.
Knowing us both as humans.
Yep. So the tire was actually placed into the trunk by the repairman himself, and he left the spare on the car. All right? This happened the morning of her murder. However, when the missing vehicle was found by police in London, the repaired tire was back on the car and the spare was missing. So the detectives kind of have to figure out, did she do that herself? Did she just go ahead? Because remember, she had that oil on her fingers. Yeah. So did she just go like, oh, okay, he put the repaired tire in the boot. I will just go ahead and change it because I don't want to drive to this other house for the weekend on the spare tire. I want to put or did the murderer do it?
It's so that he could drive away.
Right, exactly.
And take the evidence with him.
Yep.
Her. I'm so sorry for being a sexist pig.
That's a good point. Ugh, you should be.
I know.
Now oink into the microphone to let everybody know.
I don't.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
You guys know that pigs don't really say oink, right?
I do.
They snort.
That's why I was trying to make a pig noise, but I don't think I've actually been asked to do that since first grade. So thank you.
Just bringing you back to your roots.
I don't know.
Friend.
I don't know what you do in your personal time, but no one asks me to oink, Charnell.
Well, it's because you're hanging out with a pig farmer now, honey.
Fair enough.
That is foreplay for us. Anyway, when detectives. Okay.
Yep.
That's
we're gonna keep making words up today,
and we're keeping that in there too. Y'all just know that we're on the struggle bus.
Waiting for the reviews.
Oh my God, the reviews on this episode are going to be like, they're horrible. They banter the whole episode long.
That's right.
Yada yada.
And if you don't like it, bite me.
When detectives had gone to her Holland Park address, they found a half-eaten meal and a single glass of wine, which indicated that she had dined alone and apparently doesn't clean up after herself, Janice.
Was she planning on going back? Or she was heading in the opposite direction?
Yeah, she was in the opposite direction. She seemingly was heading to their manor.
But she had gone into work.
She had?
Just prior.
She had, yes, just prior. But she had been at her Holland Park address researching her book. I'm just thinking that, perhaps she had just left her meal and glass of wine. Maybe they have a housekeeper that's just going to take care of that crap for her, or she'll take care of it when she gets back.
Did something come up and she needed to hurry? See, did she get called in? Did she have to hurry into the office for something and then something bad happened there and then she was leaving to try to get away? I have lots of more questions now.
Great question. But we do know it does look like she had dined alone. So she's not, her husband's out of town. She's not having any friends or lovers or anything like that over with her, right? From the appearance of the house, police suspected that she had left in a hurry, as the normally fastidious Mrs. Weston had left the washing up untouched and left behind her handbag. Detectives surmised that she might have received a telephone call or some other message that required her to drive up the A1 towards Clompton Manor, as you had indicated.
Wow, I'm a brilliant girl.
There's a very real...
Humble, too.
Obviously. There was the very real possibility that she was abducted and held against her will and driven there by her killer. However, a witness came forward who claimed to have spotted Janice near the Brampton Hut roundabout at around 9 p.m., where she was seen in the company of a man who was changing her tire.
Okay.
And this is just somebody, a witness that came forward. So when Anthony Weston returned from France, he pleaded with the British public for information and help, for the solving of his wife's murder. Detectives initially suspected he might have had some hand in her death, which of course we know is normal. However, actually it went beyond speculation. They really, I think, kind of honed in on him for a while, because in December 1983, he was held in custody for 55 hours. Ooh. And a report was prepared before the director of public prosecutions. So they're, we're trying to kind of bring evidence. They were, what is that called? They had like an evidentiary hearing there. There were never any charges in the investigation. An
indictment.
Yep.
Right.
Nope. Based on what the detectives brought forward, no.
Okay. There's no probable cause.
No. The investigation then refocused on the possibility that she was killed either by someone else she knew or by a complete stranger. So all the possibilities. She either knew the person or did not. It's either going to rain today or it won't. I love it when the weather it's a 50% chance of rain today. Yeah, isn't it like any day? Yeah, it either could or it couldn't.
Yes, sounds like our local weatherman.
It does. But I just they're like, well, I can tell you this much, sir. She was either killed by somebody that she knew or she was killed by a total stranger. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That narrows it down beautifully.
I don't know how we would have got through this without him.
Now, the disgruntled family of Heinz Isner, who had been very upset about the significant amount of money that was left to Janice in his will. They were also investigated and ruled out when no link could be found by the detectives. Now, it doesn't mean that a link wasn't there, guys, but it couldn't be found. It was suspected that she may have had a blowout on the A1 and stopped to change her wheel in the lay-by when she was attacked from behind by someone who had...
Watch, it's probably called like the Labby or something. Probably. Who knows? But
it's LAY-BY.
Okay. That's a by. Yeah, I don't know. It's not important. My point was going to be that that's the far more likely scenario if we're not being conspiracy theorists, okay? Is that she actually, honest to God, had a blowout on the side of the highway and had no choice but to get out and attempt to, change her tire. But then again, where was the tire?
Right. And it was put back on the vehicle. There is no blown out tire.
Right.
Here's the point. That spare tire has never been found.
Right.
So we just have...
So I guess that kicks it right in the ass that she had a blowout and pulled over to do that, because we really don't have any evidence that that's what occurred.
No, all we have is that we know that when she left that body shop, the repairman put the repaired tire in her trunk, but when the investigators found her car, the repaired tire was on the vehicle. So where's that spare?
Where's the fucking spare?
Where's the spare? And the other thing is, so they attack her and they kill her and they steal her car, but they don't attempt to conceal it. They left it on the side of the road 14 miles away from where her body was found.
Okay.
Like, you just kill someone to drive yourself 14 miles and then don't make any attempt. You just ditch the car, seemingly. I don't know. So the police really don't love the theory about that she was, she stopped to change her tire, because the A1 was a dual carriageway with no pedestrian access along the road and no public footpaths over the adjoining farmland around it. And so they just don't think that there was enough traffic, human traffic, to have just someone come about her, I guess, and do this. I mean, it's not impossible, but
but just think of the time frame too, though. That's just, again, not likely.
Right. Yes. So Detective Bradley was continuing with this case. Janice was 36 years old at this point in time. And I actually misspoke as I'm reading my notes down here. This highway was actually extremely busy. So the reason that detectives really didn't feel that this was a plausible thing is that there's no witnesses, because this is a busy area. So they don't think that she was just like snuck up from behind with no one seeing this, no one passing by. So I apologize about my statement earlier. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's impossible, because
sure,
I know I'm not going to get into bystander effects because it doesn't quite fit the definition here, but how many times do you drive by accidents and people on the side of the road and don't even pay attention to it because you're used to seeing it?
True.
It's a busy highway. I drive by and I'm like, oh, there was a car on the side. Oh, there was somebody kind of off to the side changing. Now I might remember seeing somebody or something if I was asked.
And that's not right.
But it's not going to come to my attention until maybe I'm watching the nightly news and I'm like, oh.
But bashed with a tire iron and then there's a clear struggle inside the vehicle and her blood everywhere.
We don't know. We don't know where that occurred.
Right.
Did it occur on the side of a busy
or
road?
Was she just held hostage? Mm-hmm.
Was she assaulted someplace else? Like, I'm going to throw this out here. Outside of her office when she went to get in her car and then dumped on the side of the road and then her car left and abandoned someplace else?
Maybe.
Complete speculation. You leave me nothing but speculation when you give me unsolved cases.
I know. It's a terrible thing that I do to you. I'm sorry.
Can you hear the anxiety in my voice right now?
Again, we want to know what happened to Janice, damn it. Police were never able to identify the man seen with Janice on the side of the road the evening of her death that was reported by one witness. Remember the scruffy man?
Yes.
They said, okay. Investigators did not believe that she was traveling to meet someone else for, any sort of sexual affair or anything like that. There's no evidence that she picked up a hitchhiker, nor would that be in her character. It was entirely possible that, someone was lurking, a homicidal maniac, male or female, was lurking in that particular lay-by on the cold night. However, the act would have been a brazen crime of opportunity, but in the face of so many questions and few answers, the police had little evidence to come up with any rational conclusion.
Had she recently pissed off anyone in court? Well, she wasn't a litigator. She was more doing contractual stuff.
One theory postulates that due to the nature of her professional work, she may have been killed as part of some high-tech corporate espionage entanglement.
That's what I wondered.
Because she knew too much and was murdered to ensure her silence. She had left over 300,000 pounds in her will, which went to her husband. So an annual income from 2/3 of her revenue, but didn't provide like a lump sum. It didn't. Okay. So it's just truly, she didn't leave him as much as she was making. So like him, a crime of, doing this for like life insurance or anything like that doesn't make sense.
If you don't have any kids, your spouse is your beneficiary anyway. Yeah. In most states, in most countries, if you don't have a will.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you did have a will like she did, I mean, she basically left it to him anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered.
But in the theory of, could it have been the husband? She was worth more to him alive than dead.
Agreed.
Yep. So that theory doesn't even track.
I am just really bothered in general because I'm identifying with this.
I know.
So brilliant attorney.
Beautiful, liked by her
peers. Likes to get out of town to go to the pubs. Everybody likes her there. She hangs out with her partner. He's probably
had a bottle of wine in her backseat.
Partner's clearly sitting in the corner while she's making friends. So old guys fall in love with her. Yeah. Like this is I am identifying with her. I feel bad for me.
I feel bad for all of us that are like this.
It's bothering me.
Well, I think it's more terrifying to think of the random that this could have been done by a random stranger.
Yes.
That's very terrifying to me.
It is terrifying. But I think, again, for me, it's more terrifying that she also could have been killed and targeted because of her work and the corporate some espionage or her having details on very new principle of law, because I get to walk through my entire life worrying at times that I could be off because of what I do.
For sure.
So yes, this is resonating with me.
Samesies.
Yes.
I've literally had those threats.
People don't like it when you take their kids for their own safety. They don't.
In October 1984, the British television show Crime Watch UK televised a reconstruction of the events of Janice's death in an attempt to gain information from the public that might be pertinent. The reconstruction began with the events of Saturday, September 10th, 1983. I misspoke because I think I said Friday earlier, and I apologize. I knew it was a weekend. When Janice picked up the spare tire at 11:20 a.m., and then she was then seen shopping near her home at Holland Park around midday. Then she went to her place of work during the afternoon, where colleagues reported seeing her repeatedly looking out the window as though she was expecting someone. It was not known that she was still in the office. It is known that she was still in the office at 4:45 p.m. because she took a phone call for a colleague. Okay. So in the morning she had been home. She just picked up the spare tire. She went shopping. Then she went into the office, took that phone call for the colleague, and from there, it's all speculation. It's believed that she returned to her basement flat and made herself a meal, and at some point, contrary to telling friends that she was staying in London that weekend, she decided to leave for Clompton Manor. She then left with an overnight bag, her purse, which contained 37 pounds, and a partly empty bottle of wine. But she left behind her handbag, which contained her checkbook and all of her credit cards.
She didn't take those in the car with her?
Mm-mm.
I don't love it.
Nope. And she had her purse, but she didn't have those things.
She only had 37 pounds.
Yep. Nope. She did not have her...
Women don't do that.
I know. She had taken out her checkbook and her credit cards. The reconstruction on the Crime Watch show shows her pulling into the lay-by on the A1 and then the cyclist finding her body before finally showing the mystery individual requesting the replacement number plates for Janice's car from the auto spare shop in Royston, and the discovery of the Alfa Romeo Alfetta. So that it's been so many years. This was the year I was born, so it's been 40 years. And there's been no suspects brought forth. I mean, they really don't even have leads.
I wish we had some more autopsy information. Like, I want to know, were they able to, and this was a long time ago, pinpoint her time of death? Like, we know cause of death, but is it possible that she had been dead? Well, no. We know that she was seen alive at 4:30.
Right.
So it had to have occurred between 4:30 p.m. on that date. And what time was she found in the ditch by the poor bicyclist?
Oh, the poor bicyclist. Let me scroll back here. When was she found?
Welcome to Crime Curious, the musical.
Where we sing what we're thinking. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I am... Oh my gosh, it was the next morning. The very next morning. So it hadn't... We know sometime between 4:45 p.m. and early the next morning.
Yeah. So, and if I'm assuming light out and a bicyclist, because you don't like to bike in the dark, usually along the side of a large highway. We have a time frame here of about maybe 15, 16 hours, somewhere in there, that anytime she could have died.
Absolutely.
So it leaves a lot of things open here.
There wasn't a ton of autopsy information besides the clear cause of death is blunt force trauma to the head.
I don't want to bring this up because he's been ruled out, but I'm just going to say, had her husband been out of the country for a period of days, hopefully, before this happened?
Yeah, he had been there for the week.
Okay. Thank you.
And was going to continue because they were in hot negotiations.
So, okay.
For this property. Mm-hmm.
And I suppose there would be some type of way to track if he flew from England to France or took a boat. I mean, I don't know how else they would have traveled then at that point.
A train, plane, automobile.
He swam across.
No,
okay.
he was absolutely ruled out.
To rule him out in my own brain.
His financial records didn't show where he had deposited, a obnoxious large amount of money for anything, suspicious. Granted, they've got access to all kinds of cash. Let's be real. It's 1983 and they're very wealthy. So I don't think the murder for hire truly can be ruled out, but what I'm saying is they don't have any information to move forward with that theory on the husband.
No, she was
and they
more
weren't happy.
She was worth more to him alive.
Exactly. So I don't want to sound like I'm making accusations here because truly
I have him completely ruled out in my brain 40, now. I just needed to hear more.
Yeah, 40 years have went by and it's still just could be a plethora of things. Could have been Tony Anthony Weston's ex-wife.
1983 is when she died?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were driving around and saw an Alfa Romeo on the side of the road back in 1983 and have any information, please let someone know.
Someone, tell someone. Are you ready for a brain bath after no closure? I am going to give you a cute brain bath.
Okay, good.
Okay, because
otherwise I was going to bathe you too, so bathe me.
Save that for the next episode we're recording. All right. A new declaration in Mexico gives 19 cats roaming the presidential palace food and care forever. Forever.
That's perfect.
It is so perfect. So they prowl through the palace gardens. Oh, by the way, this is an article from ABC News. They prowl through.
Glad they're covering the important events for all of us.
Sure are. The Mexican cats. I love it.
Stone Phillips worthy.
Oh, please get Stone on this.
Right.
ASAP. Anderson Cooper, where are you?
Anderson, I need you to cover this pussy story I got.
I'm deceased. I can't handle this.
Well, neither could he.
He can't. He cannot. That's so true. He's like, hell no. Not for me. Thanks.
I'm the wrong guy for that job.
Sure is.
Megan Charnell.
But he's still a silver fox, and we love him.
Tell me about... I'm not going to say it. Tell me about the Mexican cats.
Okay. They prowl through palace gardens, stalking pigeons, and make cameos on televised press briefings. Some greet tourists at the door, while others take a sneaky lick of ice cream from staff. 19 feral cats have free reign of Mexico's national palace, long roaming the lush gardens and historical colonial halls of the most iconic buildings in the country. This is a quote. They have access to every part of the palace, so they walk in on meetings, interviews, and wander onto camera, end quote. Jose Herreras, the palace veterinarian, said as a handful of feline friends brushed against his ankles. Now the palace cats have made history after the government of Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez, Obrador, declared them to be living fixed assets, the first animals in Mexico to receive the title. Living fixed assets. I love it.
And they are cared for life.
They sure are. I love that they can just walk in during press briefings, during meetings, interviews. Like, I'm sorry,
they're VIPs.
This is a palace cat.
It's so very important pussy cats.
It is. These 19 pussies
in another
are very
life,
important.
I want to be a Mexican palace cat.
Can someone just declare me a living fixed asset?
I have. You just did.
Okay.
It exists.
Just loved that.
You've spoken it into existence.
I'm a living fixed asset. Usually of my ass to a desk chair.
Yes,
but
agreed.
Yeah, I'm a fixed asset.
Speaking of things that are important to us and they're fixed assets, would you like to give an update?
And living. Yeah.
Currently living and hopefully continuing to.
Yes, I will give a personal update. If episodes end up being delayed, if you know for a couple of weeks that new episodes are not released, it is because I am currently taking care of my husband. He is right now, as we speak, admitted to Cleveland Clinic and will be undergoing in 2 days open heart surgery. So all the prayers and good vibes appreciated.
Yes. Everybody send you your prayers, your good vibes, whatever you're into, your good juju to Charnell and her significant other.
And I don't ever want to hear a review that says we're not dedicated, because I did drive 3 hours home to collect more items, record episodes, and then go back to the hospital.
You are. And she never ceases to amaze me, because when your friend messages you with that news, you're always kind of like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, because I'm a doer. So like, I don't want to sit still. And I'm like, what can I do? can I do anything? She's like, I just want normal. I just want some normal on Sunday, which I love you for. You're like, so I'm driving 3 hours to come home, be normal with Megan, and then pack my shit and go again.
Yeah, pack more stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an emergency situation. He was very sick. And so we're in the right hands. We're in good hands.
You are.
I heard a lot of Cleveland Clinic nurses tell me that they listen to podcasts. So if you are listening to Crime Curious, I just want you to know I am eternally grateful for all of the wonderful care that you have given my husband in this time of emergency need and compassion for me, and just thank you.
If you are on his surgical team and you're listening to this, do a good job.
Please
Do a good job.
Please bring your A game.
Do
in
a
2
good
days.
job.
I'm putting that out into the universe very smooth. We're talking, these surgeons are going to wake up with butterflies and birds chirping like Cinderella around them. They're going to be vibing so high on the universe, like, man, I am on top of my game today. Everything is going to go smoothly and beautifully. And I mean, coffee is going to taste better. The sky is going to be bluer. That's how high vibe they're going to be that day.
They won't let you send him in with a bunch of juju either, right? Like, we
No.
can't attach crystals to
No
the balls
gree-gree.
of his feet.
But don't think for a minute that I don't have gree-gree in my purse.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
making sure that we've got all the good vibes.
Hide some under his bed until he leaves. He'll never
Right,
know.
right.
He doesn't
exactly.
listen.
He does not. That is so true. He does not. Had he listened to me when he started to get sick, we might not have got this sick, actually.
Yeah, well,
So,
we won't go there.
I know.
That's just men. Sorry for those of you who have penises that are listening.
But sometimes you really got to listen to your wife. Yeah. So just know if there's a brief pause, don't worry. We're not going anywhere. We're coming back. It's going to be a long recovery, but he'll be here recovering. But I just don't know how long we're going to be in hospital. So this is my last trip home before all of that. So I'm going to just switch my focus onto getting him better.
Good.
For a bit. So
If there's a delay, you know why.
yeah, and we'll be back. Don't freak out. It'll be okay.
So this, for those of you that are listening that need some Megan and Charnell time while we are gone, perhaps for a week or so, if you join Patreon,
Yeah.
there are hundreds of episodes for you to listen to.
There's more hours of episodes on Patreon than there are hours in your weeks
Yes.
that we would even be gone.
Yeah,
so
you'll never catch
you wouldn't
up.
miss us.
So feel free to
if
do
you
that as
joined.
well.
Yep, the link is in the show notes for that. So thank you all so much for supporting our podcast by listening, and I hope that you're having a fabulous day.
And until next time,
Keep it curious.
and keep listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.